Hana stood at the back of the training room, watching her classmates show off their powers. The tall blue alien with 4 arms could lift 3 training robots at once. The lizard-like creature from the desert planet could shoot fire from its hands. Even Park Minji, another human from Earth's rich cities, could make bright energy balls that exploded like bombs. Hana tried to make even a small spark. Nothing happened. Again. She felt the stares of the other students. Some laughed quietly. Others just shook their heads. Next, called Commander Vexta. The commander was scary. She was 8 feet tall with silver skin and eyes like yellow fire. Her 4 arms moved fast when she was angry, which was most of the time. Hana walked to the center of the room. Her legs felt weak. The testing machine waited for her. It was a big metal box that could measure how much power someone had. All the other students had made the numbers go high. Very high. She put her hands on the cold metal surface. The machine started to hum. She closed her eyes and tried to feel something, anything inside her. The other humans always talked about feeling energy flow through their bodies like warm water. Hana felt nothing. The machine beeped. The sound was short and sad. The number on the screen was almost 0. Again, Commander Vexta said. Her voice was flat and cold. Hana tried again. The same sad beep. The same low number. Path to the medical bay, the commander said. You are done for today. The other students moved away as Hana walked past them. She heard their whispers. How did she even get into the academy? Humans are getting weaker. She will never be a real defender. Kim Woo-jin waited for her outside the training room. He was the only student who still talked to her. He was human too, but from the smart colonies where people built things instead of fighting. He was good with plans and computers, but not strong in combat either. Do not listen to them, Woo-jin said. He had kind eyes behind his thick glasses. The academy is not just about raw power. Easy for you to say, Hana replied. You can at least make the machines work with your mind. I can do nothing. They walked through the long halls of the academy. The walls were made of some kind of white stone that seemed to glow. Windows showed the dark space outside, full of stars and moving ships. This place was built to train the galaxy's best defenders. Hana felt like she did not belong here. The academy was huge. It had training rooms, classrooms, living areas, and even a small city where the teachers lived. Students came from hundreds of different worlds. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Hana still felt surprised when she saw them. Most of the alien students were stronger than humans. They had better senses, tougher skin, or natural weapons. The academy was supposed to teach everyone how to use their gifts to protect the galaxy from dangers. But what gift did Hana have? I got another letter from my family, Hana said as they walked. They spent all their money to send me here. They believe I can do something great. You can, Woo-jin said. I know it. How? I have been here for 3 months. I cannot even light a candle with my mind. They reached the living area where the human students stayed. It was smaller than the areas for other species, because humans were new to the galaxy community. Only 50 years ago, Earth had made contact with the other worlds. Humans were still proving they belonged among the stars. Hana's room was small but clean. She had pictures of her family on the wall. Her parents worked in the mines on a colony world far from Earth. They had worked extra jobs for years to pay for her academy application. When she got accepted, the whole colony celebrated. They thought she would become a hero. Now she felt like she was letting everyone down. That night, Hana could not sleep. She went to the observation deck where students could look out at the stars. The galaxy was so big, millions of worlds, billions of people, all protected by graduates of this academy. How could someone as weak as her ever help? She was not alone on the deck. A big alien with rock-like skin was practicing combat moves. It was Korth, one of the top students. He could punch through steel walls. Korth saw her watching. The weak human, he said in his deep voice. Why do you still stay here? You bring shame to your species. I belong here as much as you do, Hana said, though her voice shook. Korth laughed. Prove it. He moved fast for someone so big. His rocky fist came at her face. Hana tried to dodge, but she was too slow. The punch sent her flying across the deck. She hit the wall hard and fell to the floor. Weak, Korth said again. He walked away. Hana lay on the cold floor, tasting blood in her mouth. Maybe Korth was right. Maybe she was too weak to be here. But as she tried to stand up, something strange happened. For just a moment, she felt warm. Not the normal kind of warm, but something deeper. It started in her chest and spread through her whole body. The feeling was gone as fast as it came, but it left her confused. She looked at the wall where she had hit it. There was a small crack in the white stone. That was impossible. The academy walls were made to handle the strongest attacks from the most powerful students. Hana touched the crack. It was real. But how had it happened? Korth had thrown her, not hit the wall himself. She was too weak to break anything. She looked around. No one else was on the deck. No cameras were pointing this way. She decided to say nothing about the crack. No one would believe her anyway. Back in her room, Hana lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. The warm feeling was gone, but she could not forget it. For those few seconds, she had felt strong. Not just physically strong, but like she was connected to something much bigger than herself. She closed her eyes and tried to feel that warmth again. Nothing happened. Maybe she had imagined it all. Maybe the crack in the wall was already there and she had just noticed it. But deep down, Hana knew something had changed. Something was waking up inside her, and it scared her more than any alien ever could. 2 weeks passed since the strange night on the observation deck. Hana tried to forget about the crack in the wall and the warm feeling. She had bigger problems to worry about. The academy rankings were coming out soon, and she knew she would be at the bottom. Dr. Yoon Tae-hyun arrived at the academy on a Tuesday morning. He was a thin man with gray hair and smart eyes. He came from Earth to study how humans changed when they lived in space for a long time. All the human students had to meet with him for tests and questions. Interesting, Dr. Yoon said when he looked at Hana's medical files. They sat in the small medical room where the academy doctors worked. Your brain scans show some unusual patterns. Unusual how? Hana asked. She did not like doctors. They always found new ways to tell her she was different. Your neural activity spikes at random times, especially when you sleep. Most humans show steady patterns, but yours jumps around like you are having intense dreams. Hana thought about her dreams lately. They were strange and felt very real. She dreamed about ancient warriors fighting with swords made of light. She dreamed about standing on Earth and feeling connected to every person on the planet. The dreams left her tired and confused. Is something wrong with me? She asked. Dr. Yoon smiled. Wrong, no different? Maybe. The human brain is still a mystery, even to us humans. Space changes us in ways we do not understand yet. That afternoon, Commander Vexta called all the students to the main hall. The hall was huge, with a ceiling so high it disappeared in shadows. Hundreds of students from dozens of species filled the room. Rankings, the commander announced. Her voice carried easily through the hall. These numbers show your progress and decide who stays at the academy. The list appeared on the big screen behind her. Names in alien languages scrolled past. Hana saw Park Minji's name near the top. Kim Woojin was in the middle, which was good for him. At the very bottom, in last place, was Lee Hana. Students turned to look at her. Some pointed and whispered. Hana felt her face get hot with shame. She wanted to run away and hide. Students in the bottom 10% will face review, Commander Vexta continued. You have 1 month to improve or you will be sent home. 1 month. Hana had 1 month to prove she belonged here, or her family's sacrifice would be for nothing. After the announcement, Ro Jinwoo found her in the hallway. Jinwoo was from Centauri, a planet where the people looked almost human but were much stronger and faster. He had silver hair and purple eyes that seemed to glow. He was also mean. Last place, Jinwoo said with a cold smile. How does it feel to be the weakest student in academy history? Leave me alone, Hana said. She tried to walk past him, but he blocked her way. My people were right about humans. You are soft and weak. You do not belong among real warriors. Other students gathered to watch. Hana felt trapped. Fighting Jinwoo would be stupid. He was twice as strong as her and trained in combat since he was a child. I belong here as much as you do, she said, repeating the same words she had told Korth. Prove it, Jinwoo said. Like Korth, he seemed to think this was the answer to everything. The crowd of students grew bigger. They wanted to see a fight. Hana looked for Woojin, but he was not there. She was alone. Fine, she said, but not here. In the training room with rules. Jinwoo's smile got wider. As you wish. An hour later, they stood in training room 7. It was smaller than the main room, with soft walls and a medical robot standing by. Commander Vexta was there to watch, along with Dr. Yoon and about 30 students. Standard sparring rules, the commander announced. No weapons, no killing moves. Fight until one person cannot continue. Hana had never felt so scared. Jinwoo moved like a dancer as he warmed up. His muscles seemed to flow under his skin. She had seen him fight before. He was fast and smart and never got tired. The fight started badly for Hana. Jinwoo moved like lightning, hitting her from angles she could not see coming. She tried to block his attacks, but he was too fast. Within minutes, she was bleeding from her nose and struggling to breathe. The watching students laughed and made jokes. "This is embarrassing," someone said. "Why is she even trying?" Jinwoo kicked her in the stomach. Hana fell to her knees, gasping for air. "Give up," he said. "Save yourself more pain." Hana thought about her parents. They had worked so hard to send her here. She thought about her home colony, where people still talked about the girl who got into the famous academy. She thought about all the times people called humans weak. "No," she said. She stood up even though her legs shook. Jinwoo shrugged and hit her again. And again. Each time Hana got back up. She could not win, but she would not quit. Something started to happen. The warm feeling from that night on the observation deck came back. It started small like a tiny flame in her chest, but it grew stronger each time Jinwoo knocked her down. Dr. Yoon noticed first. His eyes went wide as he looked at the monitoring equipment. "Commander," he said quietly, "look at these readings." The energy sensors around the room were going crazy. They showed power levels jumping up and down like an earthquake was happening. But the only people in the room were Hana and Jinwoo. Hana did not notice the machines. She was focused on the fight, on not giving up. The warm feeling spread through her whole body now. It felt like strength, but different from muscle strength. It felt like she was connected to something huge and powerful. Jinwoo came at her again, moving faster than ever. But this time, Hana saw him coming. Not just saw him, but knew where he would be before he got there. She stepped aside at the perfect moment. Jinwoo's punch hit empty air. He looked surprised. He tried again, and again Hana moved at just the right time. She was not faster than him, but somehow she knew what he would do. The warm feeling grew stronger. Hana could feel every person in the room. She could sense their heartbeats, their breathing, even their thoughts in a strange way. It was too much. Her head started to hurt. Jinwoo got angry. He forgot about the sparring rules and came at her with a move that could break bones. His fist aimed for her head with all his strength. Time seemed to slow down. Hana saw the punch coming and knew she could not dodge it. The warm feeling exploded inside her like a sun going nova. The lights in the room flickered. The energy sensors screamed alarms. Every piece of electronic equipment started going crazy. Hana raised her hand to block Jinwoo's punch. When their arms met, something impossible happened. Jinwoo, who was twice as strong as any human, was thrown backward across the room. He hit the wall hard and slid to the floor unconscious. The room went silent. Everyone stared at Hana, who stood in the center with her hand still raised. The electronic equipment slowly stopped making noise. Then Hana collapsed. The warm feeling was gone, leaving her empty and confused. She had no memory of throwing Jinwoo across the room. The last thing she remembered was seeing his fist coming at her face. Dr. Yoon rushed to check on her while the medical robot took care of Jinwoo. "Incredible," the doctor whispered as he looked at his readings. The energy output was off the charts. But how? Commander Vexta studied the unconscious human girl with new interest. Whatever had just happened, it was not normal human strength. It was something else entirely. In the medical bay later, Hana woke up feeling like she had been hit by a spaceship. Dr. Yoon sat beside her bed with a worried look. "What happened to me?" she asked. "I was hoping you could tell me," he replied. "The energy readings during your fight were unlike anything I have ever seen. It was like you tapped into some kind of power source that does not show up on any of our scans." Hana tried to remember, but it was all fuzzy. "Is Jinwoo okay?" "He will be fine." "Confused, but fine." He says the last thing he remembers is throwing a punch, then waking up on the floor. That night, alone in her room, Hana stared at her hands. They looked normal, but she could not shake the feeling that something had changed forever. Whatever was happening to her, it was getting stronger, and that scared her more than failing out of the academy ever could. Strange things started happening around Hana after the fight with Jinwoo. Computers would freeze when she walked past them. Lights flickered in her presence. The food machines in the cafeteria would spit out random items when she tried to order lunch. Most students stayed away from her now. They whispered that she was cursed or broken. Only Woo Jin still sat with her at meals, though even he seemed nervous sometimes. "Maybe you should see Dr. Yoon again," he suggested one morning as Hana's breakfast tray sparked and smoked. This is getting worse. Hana poked at her burned eggs. He cannot help me. No one can. I do not even know what is wrong with me. The dreams were getting worse too. Every night she saw flashes of Earth's history. She saw the first humans leaving Africa thousands of years ago. She saw them building cities, fighting wars, reaching for the stars. But strangest of all, she saw things that felt older than humanity itself. Ancient beings that looked like they were made of starlight, building massive structures in empty space. Dr. Yoon found her in the library 3 days later. She was reading everything she could about human evolution and brain development, looking for answers that did not seem to exist. Hana, he said, sitting across from her, I have been studying your brain scans. I want to show you something. He pulled out a small device and projected a 3D image of a human brain above the table. This is a normal human brain, he said. Then he changed the image. This is yours, Hana gasped. Her brain looked different. There were connections between parts that should not be connected. Whole sections glowed with activity that seemed impossible. What does it mean? She asked. I think your brain is evolving, Dr. Yoon said quietly, changing into something new. But I do not understand how or why. Before Hana could respond, the library doors opened. And very old alien walked in, moving slowly but with dignity. He was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and silver hair that seemed to flow like water. His eyes were ancient and wise. Elder Kethmon, Dr. Yoon said, standing quickly. I did not know you were visiting the academy. The old alien looked directly at Hana. I came because I felt something stirring, something I have not felt for a very long time. His voice was soft but seemed to fill the whole room. Hana felt exposed under his gaze, like he could see inside her soul. I do not understand. Walk with me, young human, Elder Kethmon said. There are things you need to know. They walked through the academy gardens, a peaceful place with plants from many different worlds. The elder moved slowly, using a walking stick made from some kind of crystal. Long ago, he began, my people were explorers. We traveled the galaxy when most species were still learning to make fire. We saw the rise and fall of many civilizations. Hana listened carefully. Elder Kethmon was famous throughout the galaxy. His people, the Valdorians, were among the oldest known species. They had seen empires rise and fall across millions of years. One species we encountered was unlike any other, the elder continued. They called themselves the Builders. They were ancient beyond measure and possessed abilities that seemed like magic. They could manipulate matter with their thoughts, travel between stars without ships, and connect their minds across vast distances. What happened to them? Hana asked. They vanished, Elder Kethmon said sadly. One day they were there, the next they were gone. They left behind only ruins and legends, but before they disappeared, they spoke of a great sacrifice they would make. They said their essence would live on in a younger species, waiting for the right time to awaken. Hana felt a chill run down her spine. Why are you telling me this? The elder stopped walking and turned to face her. Because I sense their power in you, child. The same energy signature my people recorded millions of years ago. Somehow the Builders kept their promise. Before Hana could ask more questions, alarms started blaring throughout the academy. Emergency lights flashed red, and the voice of Commander Vexta echoed from speakers everywhere. All students and staff report to emergency stations immediately. This is not a drill. They rushed back to the main building. The halls were full of running people and confused voices. In the command center, huge screens showed images of space around the academy. Admiral Choi Soon-ho stood at the center of it all. He was a human fleet commander with gray hair and hard eyes. Hana had never seen him before, but everyone seemed to know who he was. Report, Commander Vexta ordered. Earth has gone silent, the Admiral said grimly. All communication stopped 6 hours ago. We sent scout ships to investigate. He paused, his face grim. They found this. The main screen changed to show Earth from space. But it was not the blue and green world from the history books. It was surrounded by massive dark ships, thousands of them, forming a shell around the entire planet. The ships do not match any known design. Admiral Choi continued. They are not responding to communication attempts. Worse, any ship that gets too close simply vanishes. Murmurs of fear rippled through the command center. Earth was the human homeworld. Billions of people lived there. If something had happened to them, Hana felt the warm feeling start in her chest again, but this time it was different. Instead of strength, she felt pain. Deep, terrible pain, like someone was screaming inside her head. "No," she whispered, falling to her knees. Dr. Yoon rushed to her side. "Hana, what is wrong?" The pain got stronger. Images flashed through her mind. She saw Earth covered in darkness. She saw people trapped in some kind of sleep, their minds being pulled away from their bodies. She saw creatures made of shadow and hunger feeding on human thoughts and dreams. "They are still alive," she gasped. "The people on Earth, they are trapped, but they are alive. And they are calling for help." Everyone in the command center stared at her. Admiral Choi knelt beside her. "What do you mean? How can you know that?" Hana looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. "I can feel them. Every human on Earth. They are connected to me somehow, and they are screaming." Elder Kethmon moved closer, his ancient eyes wide with understanding. "The awakening has begun," he said quietly. "The Ur-Builder power is responding to the threat against her species." "That is impossible," Commander Vexta said. "No one can sense minds across space." "The Ur-Builders could," the Elder replied. "And if she truly carries their legacy, then distance means nothing to her consciousness." The pain in Hana's head started to fade, but the connection remained. She could feel millions of human minds on Earth, trapped in some kind of web. They were not dead, but they were being drained of something essential. "We have to save them," she said, struggling to stand. Admiral Choi looked skeptical. "Even if what you say is true, we do not know what those ships are or how to fight them." "Then we learn," Hana said firmly. "I will not let my people die." As she spoke, every electronic device in the command center flickered. The lights pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. Power readings spiked beyond the safe levels. For the first time since arriving at the academy, Hana felt truly strong. Not physically strong, but connected to something vast and powerful. She could sense not just the humans on Earth, but every human in the galaxy. They were all linked somehow, all part of something bigger than any individual. The Academy had called her weak because they measured her against alien standards. But her strength was not meant to be measured alone. It was meant to be shared with her entire species, and now her species needed her. Elder Kethmon smiled sadly. "The young Ur-Builder awakens at last. But child, do you understand what this power will cost you?" Hana met his ancient gaze steadily. "I understand that my people are in danger. That is all I need to know." Outside the academy, preparations began for a rescue mission to Earth. Ships were loaded with weapons and supplies. Soldiers prepared for a battle against an unknown enemy. But in the command center, Hana stood quietly and felt the minds of billions of humans calling to her across the void. They were waiting for her to come home, and she would not let them down. The rescue fleet launched 3 days later. 12 ships filled with academy graduates, weapons, and hope. Hana stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the stars stretch into lines as they jumped to faster-than-light speed. Admiral Choi did not want her on the mission. He said she was too unstable, too dangerous to herself and others. But Commander Vexta overruled him. "She is our only connection to Earth," the commander said. "We need her." Captain Jang Hyuk commanded their ship. He was a veteran of many battles, with scars on his hands and worry lines around his eyes. He treated Hana with respectful caution, like she was a weapon that might explode. "How long until we reach Earth?" Hana asked. 6 hours, the captain replied. "Are you still sensing the people there?" Hana nodded. The connection had grown stronger as they got closer to Earth. She could feel millions of minds trapped in a strange kind of sleep. They were alive but not awake, existing in a gray space between dreams and death. Dr. Yoon worked at a nearby station, studying readings from Hana's brain activity. "The neural patterns are unlike anything in our records," he said. "It is as if her consciousness is expanding beyond the normal limits of human awareness." Elder Kethmon sat quietly in the corner, watching everything with his ancient eyes. He had insisted on coming with them, saying his knowledge of the Ur-Builders might be needed. As they got closer to Earth, Hana began to see flashes of what was happening on the planet's surface. The images came in waves, showing her glimpses of cities covered in a strange gray mist. People lay in the streets, not dead, but not truly alive either. Their eyes were open but empty, staring at nothing. "What are those ships doing to them?" she asked, pressing her hands against her temples as another wave of images hit her. "I'm afraid I know," Elder Kethmon said sadly. My people have legends about creatures called the Devourers, ancient parasites that feed on consciousness itself. They do not kill their victims quickly. Instead, they drain them slowly, keeping them alive while they harvest their minds. But why Earth? Captain Zhang asked. There are billions of other worlds with intelligent life. The elder looked at Hana with pity in his eyes. Because humans are special. You carry the legacy of the Builders whether you know it or not. The Devourers have been searching for this power for millions of years. The ship suddenly dropped out of faster-than-light speed. Earth appeared on the main screen, but it was not the blue marble from the history books. Dark ships surrounded it like a swarm of insects. Each ship was massive, the size of a city, and they pulsed with sickly green light. Sensors are detecting massive energy output from the alien vessels, reported the science officer. They are definitely doing something to the planet. Admiral Choi's voice came over the communication system from his command ship. All vessels prepare for battle. We go in fast and hard. But as the fleet moved closer, something terrible happened. The lead ship carrying 200 Academy graduates simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. No explosion, no debris, just empty space. What happened? Captain Zhang demanded. Unknown, came the panicked reply from another ship. It just disappeared. Hana felt a spike of fear and pain from the trapped humans on Earth. Whatever the Devourers were doing, it was getting stronger. We are running out of time, she said. They are draining the people faster now. Elder Kethmon stood up slowly. The Devourers know we are here. They are accelerating their harvest before we can interfere. Another ship vanished. Then another. The alien vessels around Earth were not even moving, but somehow they were destroying the rescue fleet without firing a shot. All ships retreat, Admiral Choi ordered. We cannot fight an enemy we do not understand. No, Hana shouted. We cannot abandon them. The warm feeling that had been growing inside her for weeks suddenly exploded into something much larger. Energy poured through her body like lightning. Every electronic device on the bridge started sparking and smoking. Hana, you need to calm down, Dr. Yoon said, but his voice seemed to come from very far away. Hana could not calm down. She could feel every human mind on Earth crying out for help. Men, women, children, all trapped in the gray space between life and death. Their fear and pain hit her like a physical blow. But there was something else. As her consciousness expanded, she began to sense other minds. Ancient minds that had been sleeping deep inside human DNA for millions of years. The Builders had not truly vanished. They had hidden themselves inside their chosen successors, waiting for a moment like this. I understand now, she whispered. The bridge lights flickered and went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. Hana stood in the center of it all, her eyes beginning to glow with golden fire. The training was never about making me stronger, she said. It was about preparing me to become something else entirely. Elder Kethmon nodded sadly. The Builders always planned for this day. They knew the Devourers would find their power eventually, so they hid it inside a species that could grow and adapt and never give up. But what does that mean? Captain Zhang asked. Hana looked at him, and for a moment he saw something vast and ancient looking back at him through her eyes. It means I have to choose. Stay as I am and watch my species die, or become what I was always meant to be. And what is that? Dr. Yoon asked. Humanity's voice, Hana replied. All of our history, all of our dreams, all of our refusal to ever surrender, given form and power. The alien ships around Earth began to move. They had detected the energy surge from Hana, and were turning their attention to the rescue fleet. More ships started to vanish as the Devourers focused their power on the new threat. Hana felt the fear of her fellow humans on the surviving ships. She felt their courage too, their determination to save Earth even if it meant their own death. That was what made humans special. Not strength or speed or natural weapons, but the absolute refusal to give up when it mattered most. I cannot do this alone, she said. But I was never meant to. She reached out with her expanding consciousness, touching the mind of every human in the fleet. Then she reached further, connecting with humans on distant colonies, on trading ships, on exploration vessels scattered across the galaxy. For the first time in human history, every member of the species was connected in a single moment of shared purpose. They all felt what Hana felt. They all knew what was at stake, and they all said the same thing. Never surrender. The power that flowed through Hana was not hers alone anymore. It was the combined will of every human who had ever lived and ever would live. It was the voice of a species that had crawled out of caves to reach the stars, that had faced extinction 100 times and survived everyone. The Devourers picked the wrong species to hunt, Hana said as golden light began to pour from her skin. The transformation was starting, and there was no going back. Whatever happened next, Lihana as she had been would cease to exist. In her place would be something new, something that spoke for all of humanity. The bridge of the ship became too small to contain the energy building inside her. Reality itself seemed to bend around her as the power of the Builders, filtered through millions of years of human evolution, finally awakened. "Hold on," she told her friends. "This is going to change everything." Outside the ship, the dark vessels of the Devourers waited, confident in their power and their hunger. They had consumed 1,000 species over the eons, draining entire civilizations to feed their endless appetite. But they had never faced anything like what humanity was about to become. The real battle was about to begin. The transformation happened in stages. First, Hana's body began to glow with golden light that grew brighter by the second. Then her consciousness expanded beyond the ship, beyond the solar system, touching every human mind in the galaxy. Finally, something ancient and powerful awakened inside her DNA, bringing with it memories that were millions of years old. She was no longer just Lihana, the weak student from a mining colony. She was the voice of humanity itself, channeling the power of the long-dead Builders through the shared will of her entire species. "Everyone get back," Dr. Yoon shouted as equipment around the bridge began to melt from the energy pouring off her. But Hana heard him as if from a great distance. She was seeing through the eyes of every human on Earth, feeling their trapped minds crying out for freedom. She was also seeing through the eyes of the ancient Builders, understanding at last why they had chosen humanity as their legacy. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy. They were not the smartest or the fastest or the most advanced, but they had something that no other species possessed in quite the same way. The absolute refusal to surrender when protecting what they loved. That stubborn determination had driven them from caves to cities to stars. It had helped them survive ice ages and plagues and wars. It had made them reach for impossible dreams and achieve them through pure force of will, and now it would save them one more time. The Devourer ships around Earth began to move toward the rescue fleet. They were massive things, each one covered in writhing tentacles and pulsing with sickly green light. As they approached, more of the human ships simply vanished, pulled into some kind of void. But as Hana's power grew stronger, something strange happened. The vanished ships began to reappear, flickering back into existence like ghosts becoming solid again. "Impossible," came Admiral Choi's voice over the communication system. The Yamato just rematerialized, all crew alive and well. Hana smiled, though her friends on the bridge could barely look at her anymore. The light coming from her body was too bright, and her voice now carried harmonics that seemed to echo from everywhere at once. "The Devourers feed on consciousness," she said. "But human consciousness is different from what they have encountered before. We do not exist as individuals. We exist as part of something larger." She reached out with her power not to attack the alien ships but to touch the minds of the creatures inside them. What she found there horrified her. The Devourers were ancient beyond measure, beings of pure hunger that had consumed the thoughts and dreams of entire civilizations. They had grown fat and lazy on easy prey, but humans were not easy prey. The lead Devourer ship sent out a wave of psychic energy designed to paralyze and drain its victims. The attack hit Hana with the force of a collapsing star, trying to pull her consciousness away from her body. Instead of resisting the attack, Hana embraced it. She let the Devourer energy flow through her, then sent it back transformed. Where the alien power was cold and hungry, hers was warm and determined. Where theirs sought to consume, hers sought to protect. The psychic feedback hit the Devourer ship like a hammer. The massive vessel shuddered and began to crack. Green light leaked from the wounds in its hull like poisonous blood. "She is hurting them," Captain Jang said in amazement. "How is that possible?" Elder Kethman, who had remained silent during the transformation, finally spoke. The Builders were masters of consciousness itself. They could shape reality with their thoughts, but their power was cold and calculating. Hana's power is filtered through human emotion, human determination. It burns where theirs was merely bright. More Devourer ships converged on the rescue fleet, but they moved cautiously now. They had never encountered prey that could fight back on this level. Hana felt their confusion and fear. For eons, they had been the ultimate predators, consuming species after species without real resistance. The concept of prey becoming predator was alien to them. "Let me show you what humans really are," Hana said, her voice carrying across space itself. She reached out to every human mind she could touch, not just those in the rescue fleet or trapped on Earth, but humans throughout the galaxy. Miners on distant asteroids, traders between the stars, colonists on frontier worlds. All of them felt her call and all of them answered. They shared their memories with her. A mother protecting her children from a collapsing building, a soldier standing firm against impossible odds, a scientist working for years to cure a disease, a teacher inspiring students to reach for the stars. 10,000 small acts of courage and determination, multiplied across billions of lives. This was humanity's true strength. Not individual power, but collective will. Not the ability to dominate, but the refusal to surrender. Hana took all of that shared strength and focused it into a single purpose: freeing Earth. The golden light around her body exploded outward, washing over the Devourer fleet like a tide. But this was not destructive energy. It was something far more dangerous to creatures that fed on despair and helplessness. It was hope. The psychic web that held Earth's population began to unravel. Across the planet, people started to wake up from their gray dreams. They opened their eyes and remembered who they were, what they were fighting for. The Devourers reeled back in shock. Their food source was not just escaping, it was actively rejecting them. The humans on Earth were standing up, linking hands, sharing strength with each other and with their rescuers in space. "This is impossible," came a voice from the lead Devourer ship. It spoke in harmonics that hurt to hear, full of rage and ancient hunger. "We are the masters of consciousness. We have consumed 1,000 worlds. But you have never consumed a world like Earth," Hana replied. Her voice now carried the echo of every human who had ever lived. "And you never will." The final battle was not fought with weapons or ships. It was fought in the space between thoughts, in the realm where consciousness touched reality. The Devourers tried to reassert their control, sending wave after wave of psychic energy designed to break human will. But human will, it turned out, was unbreakable. Every time the aliens attacked, the humans pushed back harder. They shared their strength, their memories, their absolute refusal to be conquered. Miners sang work songs that echoed across space. Mothers spoke the names of their children like battle cries. Soldiers stood firm against forces that could shatter planets. The Devourer fleet began to crack apart. Their ships, held together by psychic energy and the will to consume, could not withstand the counterattack of human determination. One by one, they broke apart and dissolved into empty space. But the effort was costing Hana everything. She could feel herself dissolving, her individual consciousness merging completely with the collective human experience. She was becoming something larger than herself, something that could guide and protect her species but could never again be just Hana. "It is time," Elder Kethmon said sadly. "She must choose now before the transformation becomes irreversible." On the bridge, her friends watched as Hana began to fade. The golden light was spreading beyond her body, touching every human in the fleet and beyond. "Hana," Wujin called out, "come back to us." For a moment, she focused on his voice. She could still choose to remain herself, to pull back from the brink of becoming something vast and eternal. She could return to being a student, a friend, an individual. But on Earth, billions of humans were standing up and looking to the stars with hope in their eyes. Across the galaxy, human colonies were safe because she had shown them they were never truly alone. The choice was not really a choice at all. "I am not leaving you," Hana said to her friends. "I am just becoming something bigger." The last of the Devourer ships cracked apart and vanished. Earth hung in space, blue and green and beautiful, surrounded by the wreckage of the alien fleet and the cheering voices of its free people. In the rescue fleet, the bridge lights slowly returned to normal. Where Hana had stood, there was only empty space and the lingering warmth of her presence. But every human in the galaxy could feel her still, a gentle presence in the back of their minds. She had become their guardian, their guide, the voice that would whisper courage in their darkest moments. 3 months later, the Galactic Defense Academy began a new curriculum. Human students were no longer measured by alien standards. Instead, they learned to work together, to share strength, to never give up on each other. The Academy had called Hana weak because they did not understand human strength. They measured power as an individual force, something that belonged to one person alone. But human power was never meant to be individual. It was collective, shared, strongest when it protected others. In the memorial garden of the Academy, they placed a simple stone with Hana's name. But she was not really gone. She was in every act of human courage, every moment when someone chose to stand firm rather than surrender. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Never underestimate a species that refuses to give up. And in the quiet moments between the stars, when human ships traveled the lonely void, they could sometimes hear a familiar voice whispering encouragement across the darkness. "You are never alone," the voice would say. "We are all connected. We are all strong." The Academy had called her weak. They were wrong.